It's okay? Yeah? The professor. Alors, avant de commencer, on va vous donner deux petites informations. La bibliothèque a mis à disposition pour l'ensemble des étudiants des ouvrages et des mémoires en rapport avec la thématique qui est proposée cette année et la ville de Thiers. Donc, si vous voulez consulter ces ouvrages, ils sont à la bibliothèque, juste en face dans le hall d'entrée. Et nous vous emmènerons 2 livres sur Thiers qu'on va prendre cette semaine.
En la biblioteca, enfrente, y nada más entrando en la biblioteca a la derecha, hay una mesa que pone Iacobus y que hay varios libros con el tema de Thiers. Y entre otras cosas, hay dibujos que a lo mejor no conocéis y planos y de detalle de alguna vivienda, de algún edificio que no conocéis y que puede ser interesante.
Նախագծի մասին եւ Տիեր քաղաքի մասին նյութեր կարող եք ծանոթանալ մեր գրադարանից, որը անմիջապես դիմացն է գտնվում, կարող եք օգտվել։
Et enfin, pour déjeuner à midi, vous aurez donc dans la salle à côté une entrée, un plat, un dessert. Donc de bien prendre chaque élément et non pas 2 entrées ou 2 plats, puisqu'il y a une portion pour tout le monde.
Para comer en la sala que hay saliendo a la derecha, donde estábamos antes, hay para comer todos y hay una entrada, un plato y un postre.
Եվ կեսօրին նախաճաշի համար այնտեղ դրված են նախաճաշ, ճաշ եւ քաղցր, կարող եք օգտվել, բայց խնդրում եմ ամեն մեկից վերցնել 1 հատ, քանի որ պորցիաներով է ամեն ինչ։
Ok. On va laisser la parole aux étudiants espagnols pour à peu près 20 minutes. Ouais, ok.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. We are 2 groups. We basically started to analyze the urban context of Thiers and also the historic context, and that will be divided in 2 different groups and 2 different analyses. So first of all, we started with the urban analysis, where we tried to place Thiers in the ancient roads of the Roman network along France, which is located between one of the roads that connect Lyon with Saint-Thiers. And then we started to try to analyze how Thiers is a ville that connects Lyon and Clermont-Ferrand, and the relationship in this one, the relationship between the 2 valleys, the Dour Valley and Loire Valley, and the influence of the Dourol alongside the Dour. Then we focused on the more interesting part, where we analyze how the relationship between the Dour Valley and the Dourol Valley connects the place where Thiers is founded, which is right here, where it was founded here in the Abbey of Moutier, but then the first constructions were implemented. Yeah, okay, thank you. Wait. No. It takes time. Yeah, the first locations where the city developed was here, so we can see that in here also. We wanted to try to explain how the topology of the place where Thiers was founded is related with the different constructions of the walls along the history of the city, and how this also, how in these pictures, how the different the remaining different parts of the walls and also the towers are nowadays, well, rehabilitated or used as part of the city.
Then we did some sections in order to better understand the site surroundings and conditions. And this first one tries to show the relationship between the Church of Saint-Genès, the hospital, and the Douro River. The main characteristic of the village of Thiers, and especially of the formation around the Church of Saint-Genès, is its unevenness and consequently its adaptation to it. And there is a staggered construction of houses leaning against the ramparts, creating a sort of amphitheater which opens out onto the plain, and it formed the landscape terraces. In second place,
Speak with
sorry. In second place, we can. In second place, we can see the relationship between the hospital and the private house buildings next to it. The typology of housing depends directly of the preceding territorial condition and usually has between 1 and 3 semi-buried floors, with one of its sides embedded in the foundation wall. In this third section, we can see the relationship between the hospital and the Church of Saint-Jean-du-Passet and the Douro River again.
Then we try to analyze the different historic monuments along all the, well, not just the city, but also the whole region, where 19 out of 25 are located inside or near the city walls. And here we have a list of every different building, including our site, which is right here. And we did this kind of analysis where most of the different buildings that are considered as monumental or historic landscape is related to, well, maybe some entrances, then some kind of gesture along the facades, also the different industries that are located here in the Usine du May, and also the different churches. This is the first one where the city was founded, then Saint-Genès, Saint-Jean, and also our chapel. Then we try to also zoom out and analyze how Thiers has been developing over the centuries, and with help of these three different, well, first one, this map, and also these aerial photographies, we can see how it has been developing over a long axis, which has been developing different parts of the industrial and commercial parts of Thiers, and also how, because of the construction of the hospital, which is placed here, also the city has been developing towards this line, which is the main roadway that connects the city with the different Clermont-Ferrand and Lyon. And then we try to also analyze how the vegetation is different. You could cut this plane in two sides, the right side and the left side, where you can see how in the valley of the Douro you can have so much vegetation in comparison with the different valley, which is the one of the Douro. And you can see also in the photographies how this is much more plain and allows much constructions, whether this one is much, it has a slope, so vegetation has been the main characteristic of that place. And then we started to focus on how the different buildings are located along the city, where the public buildings and related to the old town, where our buildings like museums and theaters are located. Whether in the axis we can find places like schools or sport establishments. Then the new hospital, which I have mentioned, is right there and also has that spine of growth towards the left part of the city. And then the main connections with the different forms of access, where you can have here the main trainway to access Thiers, which is in the north part of the city, and then the main roads of access towards vehicles or cars, and then also the long axis, which is connected by the other side of the river. And then we also try to find different data for different kind of different data. For example, we find that population has been decreasing over the years in terms of, for example, in 1968, we have a population of 16,000 people, whereas in 2019, we are decreasing towards 11,000 people. And also it's important to realize how many empty houses are located in we expect that it's along the city center, where again in 1968 were located around 360 houses, whereas nowadays we are around 1,300 empty houses.
Doing zoom again, this analysis map represent Doing zoom again, this analysis map represent in first place the elevation of the buildings. We can notice that the most of them have a low level plus 3 more, and also we represent in red in the second map the public parkings in the city center in order to analyze how the connections with our project could be. And siguiente, por favor. Continuing that analysis, we try to represent the slope of the different roads in order to understand the possibilities of connection. And at the top, in the area of surrounding of the Church of Saint-Denis, we can find the widest roads available for cars. And in the second area, in the Ancien Hôpital area, we will find the most narrow ones, only for the pedestrian traffic. And this condition has direct relation with the use and division in different areas. At the north, a pedestrian commercial area, and then the nucleus of houses with some of the public services, and finally the all industrial area next to the river. The last analysis of all is the vegetation and the relationship with our project place. We would like to explain these two maps, and in the first one, we make a difference between the fallen leaf areas and the evergreen ones. And as you can see here, next to the hospital, we can find a garden with fallen leaf trees. In the second one, we would like to highlight the importance of the green terraces in the ancient city and how they use the defense walls as retaining walls, and how them construct the images and characteristic landscape of Thiers. That's all.
Yeah, and now they will take.
Hello, so we are going to talk about the historical analysis. We're going to start with the origin of the city. That is placed in two spots. In the south, the Thiers neighborhood, linked to an abbey of the same name from the 10th century, located on the Thiers area. And in the north, on a promontory, the fortified city. And it's in the revolution, after the revolution in 1793, where both parts became one. Here we can see the evolution of the city. Actually, this part of the city between 18th century and the current moment. It's the highest part with the church of St. James and the castle, whose became the Justice Palace, and between both of them appears the main open space of this part of the town, of the fortified city. Thiers Hospital is located in St. Jean neighborhood, whose development is around the church of St. Jean, as we can see in this plan. This part of the town actually works as a link between the upper city and the valley, being used as a settlement for the workers of the industry placed along the river, including also workshops at the level 0 at the back of the house in the yards. One of the main elements that constitute the city is the wall, as already said the other group, which is the result of an evolution that started in the 11th century to the late 14th century, when appears the fourth wall development, the Grand Closure, where the hospital is located. Another important element that actually defines the urban development of Thiers, we could even call it the main one, is the Dural River, which is being used at first as a water supply by the abbey. However, it's the industrial development linked to this course of water that made the Dural the main character of this place, where the factories get placed all along. First in the Val of the Reds, and then in the Val de Soussine.
In this part, we are talking about the hospital and how it evolved from the 18th century to the present. In 17th century, only exists the original one-nave chapel. In 18th century, the three existing hospitals in Thiers are unified in a single volume annexed the north of the chapel, the north wing. In 19th century, population growth caused the need to expand the hospital and are built different volumes around the north wing and the chapel, what is reformed in 1836. In the first half of 20th century, they continue building different exempt volumes from the main building and surrounding it. Nowadays, the building is formed by 3 volumes, 2 of them symmetrical, north and south wing, and both sides of the chapel. We also analyze the use and surfaces of the old hospital. In the basement are the boiler rooms and kitchens. In the low level are stays for nurses, pharmacy, and nursing. And on the first and second level, the men's 6th room, north wing, and women's 6th room, south wing. In addition, the building preserves some original elements like the fireplace in low level, large ballot rooms on basements, and altars and stained glass windows on chapel.
In these 2 slides, we can see in general that the closing of the hospital and the lack of maintenance left the entire premise abandoned. With this complete closed, vegetation have developed massively on the surround of the facade. The pathologies observed are related to the lack of maintenance of the building due to its closure and mainly linked to water infiltrations The consequences of this are observed, like washing of the covering and joints, colonization of plants, moss, and other biological elements. Structurally, there are temporary anchors for the maintenance of the wall. This instability is a consequence of demolition of the annex building, where there are still traces of tearing. And in these other two slides, the exterior deterioration indicated above is the main cause of the pathologies observed inside the building. Certain parts of the building are dangerous and no longer allows access to them, given the instability of the grounds. In particular, the significant sinking of the successive floors. After the review, and according to the visible metal anchors on the external facades, it was found that metal structural repairs were carried out to reinforce certain floors. All this consolidation clearly corroborates the fragility of the existing structure, which continued to deteriorate rapidly, regarding several successive collapses of the slabs and the major presence of dry rot fungi that attack wooden structures and are the cause of many degradations.
Finally, as we've already seen, the city development is straightly linked to the knives production. In this plan, in brown, we can see the factories that got built along the river using this is hydraulic force. In the beginning, the industries that used this energy had multiple uses. However, the progressive industrialization during 19th century of the process to make knives made cutlery production the center of the industrial activity in Thiers. In the 60s, factories finally left the Val des Usines towards industrial areas. Nowadays, some of them that got abandoned are protected and even were rebuilt as museums or contemporary art centers. As for example, Le Corps de l'Enfer, which closed in 1988, being originally a knife factory, but currently is used as a contemporary art center. Another one, it's using Dumais, a cutlery factory that got rehabilitated at first in 2009 as a knives museum, but from 2015 on, it became part of the Contemporary Art Center, hosting temporary exhibitions of all kinds. And that's all.